Am I the a-hole for telling my daughters that I made a mistake by choosing to stay in their lives? My ex-wife and I got divorced 14 years ago. It was due to infidelity on her part. Our daughters were 9 and 7 at the time. The divorce was messy. She moved in with her affair partner and ended up with primary custody, and I got every other weekend. It was a disaster from the very start, as the kids did not respond well to the changes. I tried to have a good co-parenting thing going, but little did I know that my daughters were being turned against me. They would be angry and sullen each time they would visit, and refuse to talk about what was wrong. Tantrums, screaming, cursing became the norm, and that's when they were not totally withdrawn. They were being fed complete lies about me. How I didn't love them, how I was going to leave them for another family, etc. It didn't improve with time, and in their teens they costed me 2 very serious relationships with just the most venomous behavior. They didn't even want to visit me anymore, but I insisted that they do. I don't know if that was a mistake or not, because they pretty much cut me off when they turned 18, and the only time they'd visit was to ask for money. I thought things would improve as they got older and saw through all the lies, but sadly it hasn't. I think it never will, and I'm just done at this point. At the start of this year, they'd come to my house to ask for more money. When I refused, they yelled at me again and said they wished I wasn't their father. Something broke inside me, and I told them I wished I had just walked away from them. That if I hadn't stayed in their lives, maybe I would have had a natural shot at a happy life. Maybe they would have too. They looked shocked, and then screamed and cried and left. Haven't seen them since. No visits, no phone calls, nothing. It fills me with incredible guilt, but I almost feel relieved that they're not around anymore. It was a terrible thing to say, but I can't help but feel like there was truth in it. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Tragic, but not the a-hole. I wish you can find something that gives you happiness, though. No visits, no phone calls, nothing. It fills me with incredible guilt, but I almost feel relieved that they're not around anymore. I'd say not carrying that weight around is cause for happiness. Not the a-hole. Not really happiness. Relief, maybe. Happiness will take some work, I suspect. Not the a-hole. No doubt very common. I used to think fathers that walk away were deadbeats. Now I know most don't stand a chance if the mother decides to demonize him. My mom tried to do that with us. Just subtle things to make us dislike our dad. Thing is, I'm autistic, and I don't do subtle, so it never worked on me. Haha, joke's on you, Mom. I'm also on the spectrum and don't do subtle. The older I get, the more I understand subtleties, but I still make people spell things out, so I don't get totally off base. Not the a-hole. There's only so much crap and mistreatment a person can take, even if it is from their children. Be glad and enjoy your newfound freedom. Get back into dating and stop feeling guilty. You stuck around when others would have walked along back. You did nothing wrong. Your crazy ex filled them with poison, but now it seems your girls are ending up like her. I doubt they will see the light anytime soon. You did the best you can. Be proud. Not the a-hole. Sorry you've gone through this. Maybe it would help you move on by writing out your story / your perspective. Cold hard truths throughout, responsibilities for any of your own actions, etc. After it's done, then you can decide if you want to give them a copy, or try once to get together and ask them to sit while you read it to them, or even just feel better about giving up and walking away. Could even ensure they get a copy when you pass. Again, so sorry. Or just write and tell them that no matter what, you will always love them. You're sorry that they turned away from you after the divorce, and there was nothing you could do to stop the lies. And that if they truly ever want a fresh start, to let you know. I believe that if you go ahead and make that gesture, it will allow you to not close the door, but to walk on past it instead and start taking care of yourself. You need some healing, man. Not the a-hole, of course. Next story. Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my aunt? I'm child-free, relationship-free, and intimacy-free. This is important for the story. I have no problems with people who have these things, and will fully support people struggling with fertility issues as much as my body autonomy will allow. The only thing I won't do is to be a surrogate. Me, 29 female, and my parents were at a family party, and my nosy Aunt Caroline asked, "So when are you going to get married and have kids?" It's no secret that I want neither, because I want to be happy on my terms. When I reminded her that I wanted neither, she went off that I wasn't a real woman if I didn't do these things. but I just rolled my eyes having heard it all before. Then came this gem. What about all the other women who can't have kids? Like your Aunt Jessie. You're so selfish. Aunt Jessie and her husband have tried to get pregnant for years, and after a few failed rounds of IVF, she just decided to have a hysterectomy and not deal with it anymore. Her husband has been supportive of her throughout the whole thing, and 20 years later still going strong. I just laughed, pulled out my phone and called Jessie, who lives a few states away, and asked her about what she thought of child-free women. That's their business. Why are you asking? Caroline said to think about you when I say I don't want kids, and that I'm selfish and should pity people like you. This earned a gasp from the rest of the party, and Caroline going ghost white. Jessie was having none of it. Jesus freaking Christ, Caroline. Let the woman be happy. She's the only person to help me after my surgery while you said you had better things to do. Shut the hell up and let me speak for myself. I thanked Jessie and hung up. Caroline was so humiliated she was crying, and she just left the party. The younger people thought it was much overdue that Caroline got put in her place, but the older ones thought I was being petty. So, am I the a-hole for embarrassing my aunt? Now for the top comments. Well. If it isn't the consequences of her own actions making her cry. Not the a-hole, and quite frankly, well done you for shooting that crap down. I do have a son whom I love very much, but my sister hates kids. It's life, and people should learn to mind their own dang business. Have 4 niblets. 12 female, 7 male, 7 male, and 5 male. The girl is my best friend's kid. The boys are my brothers. And I would gladly die so none of them would ever be sad. Sounds like you were the perfect aunt. Kudos for not letting your family bull for your choices. Not a hole. And how on earth would it help Jess if you did have kids? For Pete's sake. I'm so glad I'm past menopause and no longer get these questions myself. I always wondered why people say that. Like me having kids can make her feel worse about herself. I wouldn't put it past this woman to say something like, well, if you're not using your uterus, you should at least loan it out to someone who will. That is the one thing I refuse to do, be a surrogate mother. I can understand wanting kids of your own, but it's my body that will be going through major changes. Not a hole. It has previously been the case that family just let people be horrible because that is how they are. I think it's bullcrap. Not a hole. Assuming you knew your Aunt Jessie's stance and weren't going to hurt her by involving her, all you did was call someone out on hurtful misinformation. It sounds like this is not a new or unusual occurrence based on Jessie's reaction. Your Aunt Caroline needs to learn to think before she speaks, and to just stay silent on a host of topics including someone's personal choices. I knew. She's the first one I told when I was 16, and she didn't write me off. That's your choice, sweetheart. If that's how you want to live, I'm behind you 100%. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my dad out of my apartment after we threw out my food? I, female 26, moved from my parents after I turned 18. My relationship with them, especially my mom, was terrible at the time, but over the years we managed to fix it, more or less. I visit them 2 to 3 times per year, and once in a while one of them comes to my place. Recently it was my dad, male 51, who was visiting me. In my late teens and early 20s, I was suffering from an eating disorder. Actually, one of the reasons why I moved was because my parents didn't understand it was a real problem. After meeting that right psychologist, I'm mostly okay. I'm trying to eat healthy and actually have lots of fun with preparing meals for myself. My kitchen is always full of vegetables, fruits, sources of healthy fat like fishes or poultry meat, etc. Nonetheless, I'm still getting nervous when I have to eat unhealthy meals for too long. I'm working on it. For my parents, real food must be deeply fried with a ton of salt, or at least be a fast food. When my dad came to me, the plan was for him to stay a week. He had to make his own breakfast, or work morning shift, but I was going to make dinners and suppers for both of us. Right after seeing my kitchen, and then after first meal I cooked for him, I prepared pasta with chicken and zucchini. He started complaining. He said it's no wonder I look so malnourished if I'm eating this way. I have been maintaining the correct weight for the last 4 years, but for him, correct weight is when somebody's at least slightly chubby. Then he said he wants real food while he's staying at my apartment. I told him where the nearest grocery shop is, and that he can buy whatever he wants. I'm eating healthy, but I don't really care what he does eat. I made a supper. He didn't complain anymore, so I decided the problem is solved. The next day I came back from work, and found that he threw out all my food he decided unsuitable and instead bought pre-cooked food, tons of red meat and sausages, full bag of sweets and chips, and, for some reason, few kilos of potatoes. I started to cry. I don't earn a lot, and big part of my earnings is spent of food, but he told me it's for my own good, since evidently I'm still not on my right mind. He was referring to my previous eating disorder, and should stop being so fuzzy and eat like a normal person. I packed all food he bought in bags, carried them in his luggage to the corridor, and told him to get out of my house. The train to my hometown leaves every hour or two, so I was sure he won't spend the night at the station. He called me an entitled witch, but eventually left. My dad told the whole family what happened, and most of them say I'm overreacting and I'm heartless because I kicked my own father out. My mom told me neither she nor dad will contact me again until I apologize. Taking care of my ED took me a few years, and even now I'm not fully out of the woods. I don't want to lose my balance again because of my dad's tantrums, but I also don't want my parents out of my life. Should I apologize to him? Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. He was mistreating you, so you protected yourself. Look at your dad's behavior when you want to know why you have an eating disorder. My mom told me neither she nor dad will contact me again until I apologize. Do not do that. He needs to apologize, not you. But you're better off without these horrible a-holes anyway. Opie thinks this is a problem. This is not a problem. This is the opposite of a problem. The problem just solved itself. Keep it that way. Opie shouldn't talk to either of them until they pay back for the food with interest. Not the a-hole. Not in the slightest. If your parents really wanted to help you, they would try to educate themselves about ED, and they had plenty of opportunities in the last 8 years. Also, how dare he throw out food that you bought in your home, with your own money? The fact that he's trying to excuse his behavior by commenting on Opie's past eating disorder is beyond repair. I would genuinely never talk to him again if that was my dad. Not the a-hole. Definitely not the a-hole. He comes to your house and tells you that your healthy diet is bad, then throws out a bunch of food you'd obviously spent money on. He could have easily bought that food for himself without throwing all of your food out. He just decided to be a major a-hole. You had every right to kick him out. Absolutely not the a-hole. This is what threw it completely over the line. Throwing out your food to try to force you to eat the way he wants you to, when he could have just gotten whatever garbage you wanted and left your stuff alone. I give Opie a standing ovation for standing up for herself and kicking him out immediately. Never apologize for protecting yourself that way. He could have set you back years. I personally would not put any additional effort into maintaining a relationship with them. It sounds as if they bring nothing but bad feelings. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my stepfather that he isn't my dad after he bought me a $3,200 gift? I'm 20 female and my dad passed away 6 years ago, and my mother remarried less than a year later. It was a horrible experience, and at the time I didn't know how to manage my feelings. I never liked the man she married, and kept my distance over the years. However, he began buying my siblings and I lavish gifts from the start. My siblings loved the new lifestyle, while I moved out as soon as I could. Fast forward to the present. I'm financially independent and live by myself. My siblings live at their house and I don't see them often. A couple of days ago, my mother and her husband had a pre-anniversary dinner, and once again he had a bunch of gifts for all of us. He bought me a gift worth $3,200, the most expensive one out of all of them. He said that he hoped that we can work towards mending our relationship. My mother kept asking me if I like it, and even told me to say thank you. There was a lot of pressure, and quite frankly it was irritating. So I basically told him that it's a waste of money, that it's irresponsible and stupid to spend that much on a gift for someone who doesn't even care about you. And I told him that he's not my dad, and should stop acting like these gestures will make a difference. Absolute chaos ensued. My mother screamed at me and told me to get out. My siblings were pissed too, and called me a spoiled brat amongst other things. They said that I'm always being cuddled by our stepfather, and that I don't even deserve anything nice. Over the last few days, I've been called immature, petty, obnoxious, ungrateful, disrespectful, cruel, attention-seeking, etc. My mother even said that my attitude is completely unattractive to men, and that I'll be forever single if I continue being so heartless. So, am I the a-hole? Yikes. You're the a-hole. Sounds like you took all of your frustrations from your dad's death and your mom moving on too quick, in your opinion, out on this poor guy. You're not obligated to like him, and you definitely shouldn't be pressured to treat him like a new father. But couldn't you at least treat him like a human being? I'm sorry, but a person who comes into the life of a grieving child and tries to buy his way into a relationship isn't exactly innocent. I would say not today, Hull. He made a choice to give the gift, and everyone around was pressuring her to thank him. He didn't intend to give a heartfelt gift, but rather put her on the spot. I think I didn't know how to manage my feelings is a good place to start. It sounds like you haven't gotten over the death of your father, or how you feel like everyone else in your life has replaced him with your stepfather. Have you been to therapy for any of this? I'm sorry that you are going through this, and it is still so painful. Gentle, everyone sucks here. You are 20, and it's time for you to take care of yourself and your emotions, and not let all the hurt of this continue to hurt the people around you. They're allowed to be happy and love your stepfather. You are allowed to have your feelings, but making a point to demean him and be disrespectful at every turn isn't going to be helpful. And it seems no one has reached out to help you. They have been really crappy since the latest incident. Again, I'm sorry for your loss. Take care. Thanks a lot. I've never been to therapy, but we'll start next month. You're the a-hole kinda. I imagine losing a parent at 14 is devastating, and the feeling that he is trying to replace your father from everyone is awful. He likely thinks that gifts are a way to show that he cares and wants a relationship. You have shown that you don't respond to this, so he should stop and find another way of trying to connect. You don't have to be all in, but being cordial shows respect to your mom and family who does love him. He never has to be your dad, but he is a part of your family's life, so not being a jerk is important. If you haven't gone through counseling of some sort to work through some of these issues, I think it may be very beneficial. There is clearly a lot of pain, but being mean to people is only going to leave you alone in the end.
Update. I, 23 male, found out through a friend that my girlfriend, 21 female of 3 years, and her current best or childhood friend, 21 male, dated for 4 years in high school. I'm ready to end things, but am I overreacting? Original post. I met Nicole 3 years ago, around my second year of college. I'm from out of state. I received a full scholarship to the university that we're currently at, so I didn't have any friends at the time. She was nice and took interest in me pretty quickly, and we started dating. She's told me from the beginning that she had been best friends with this guy Adam since they were little, and they were very close, and their families were close, which I was fine with at the time. I'm not really a jealous person, and I'm pretty laid back. Adam seemed like a nice guy, and I thought, who am I to really tell her who she can and can't be friends with? Anyways, they have been close even through the relationship. They go on trips together with their families, they study together, have a few classes together, dinner, lunch, etc. And they have even stayed the night at each other's apartments. It was weird at first, but I trusted her as well as him, and honestly, she always told me ahead of time, so I felt like it was fine, not ideal. It never really affected our relationship. We spent time together, had a great connection, and all that good stuff. Nicole and Adam left on Sunday. They finished finals early or something like that, to head down to their family's beach house like 4 hours away from campus. They did invite me, but I have some finals left. And then I have summer courses starting nearly immediately after my finals, so I declined so that I could prep for my final 2 courses before I graduate. I met up in the library with one of her friends in my web design class to put some finishing touches on our final project. We got on the topic of relationships, and she was telling me about how when she started dating her current boyfriend, she made him cut all contact with his ex-girlfriend, even though she wanted to remain close with him. She asked me why I didn't do the same, and I was confused. I didn't understand what she meant. And then she explained and showed me proof that Nicole and Adam dated throughout high school. They also went to prom together. I was pretty lost as to what to do or how to feel. I found out yesterday, and all I could think was that Adam could potentially be screwing my girlfriend at this very moment. I trusted her, But I mean, I've never seen exes hang out and be as buddy-buddy as them without hooking up before. As dense as it sounds, I almost can't wrap my head around their level of closeness and not doing it. I talked to my older sister and she told me I had to calm down and that maybe there was a reason for why they never said anything. She said if I trusted Nicole before knowing, she didn't see why I would suddenly accuse her otherwise, even if her best friend is her ex. But I feel like that logic is so flawed because my entire foundation of trust for this relationship stemmed from the fact that Adam was her childhood best friend, not her ex. Honestly, if she would have told me before we started dating, I think I probably would have walked away from the relationship. She's a great and nice girl, but getting with someone who is still so heavily involved with her ex is a roller coaster I don't think I would ever willingly sign up for. Am I thinking about this the wrong way? Is it crazy that I'm already considering ending the relationship over this, whether she cheated or not? I haven't brought it up to her yet. I want to talk in person rather than on the phone. I'm going to hide the fact that I know until she comes back to campus on Friday to spend my birthday weekend with me. But I don't see any logical explanation that will keep me committed. Now for the top advice before reading the update. I am still friends with a few people I have dated in the past, and my boyfriend doesn't mind. The difference is that he was aware of the full situation from the beginning. Also, I don't go on family vacations with them without my boyfriend. WTF? If I were you, I would not be okay with this situation at all. I'm just curious. Are you friends with people you've dated or best friends with them? Like, how often do you see them or hang out with them? I don't want to put blame on myself, but I have truthfully declined a few vacations with her willingly. I've always been focused on school and graduating with good grades in my allocated time. My parents don't have the money to pay for my schooling, so they push me to take full advantage of my scholarship. They're just normal friends that I see a couple of times a month, almost always in groups. I can't imagine why I would want to be best friends with an ex. After all, if you get along so well and enjoy each other's company so much, why not just be a couple? I don't think the fact that you declined the invitation for the vacation makes it okay that she decided to bring Adam instead. Can't she just hang out with her family without a male companion? You take a significant other on family vacations so they can get to know your family, since they may one day be part of the family. So what is Adam doing there? Nah, get it out there. You'll have plenty of time to talk it over. Well, you're in the middle of it all now. Sorry, OP. No do-overs. So, if they are not cheating and think of each other as friends, are you good? I'm opting to tell her in person Friday, also because I have 2 fairly important finals on Thursday and a coding project due Friday morning. I'd rather not have to deal with the drama until those are finished and out of the way. I'm literally 2 classes out of graduating, relationship or not. I'm not about to mess it up. Honestly, I don't think they're cheating physically, but I'm sure they exchange their fair share of words with one another, especially since Nicole broke up with him and not the other way around. Whether they are cheating or friends, as of this point I'm 90% done. Barring one hell of a good reason for keeping it from me, I'm gone. Knowing my girlfriend, she'll say she was afraid if she told me the truth, that I wouldn't have started a relationship with her in the first place, which, while understandable and true, doesn't make it right. Now for the update. Nicole showed up Thursday night after my exams to early surprise me for my birthday weekend. We kind of hung out and talked, and I tried my best just to be normal with her. When I asked her about Adam, she was extremely reluctant and borderline defensive to even talk about it. You never brought it up before. Why do you want to know about it now? When she realized I wasn't dropping it, she pretty much broke down and told me everything. Adam was the one who convinced her not to tell me about their past relationship. The last few guys she tried to talk to were scared off by her being best friends with her ex, and he didn't want me to leave in the same way. It was only supposed to be for a little while. She didn't plan on staying that close to Adam while being in a relationship. Adam's dad was in the process of getting a promotion when Nicole and I started dating, which would move him and his family to the Midwest, but the promotion fell through. She said Adam became more direct once he found out he wasn't leaving, constantly insisting that she hang out with him without me, even to the point where she would be canceling plans with me. For most people, I'm sure that would have been a red flag when your girlfriend canceled on you periodically. But I've been taking 6 to 7 course semesters for the past 2 years in attempts to graduate early and get the most out of my scholarship. If I wasn't studying or with Nicole, I always had a million other things I could be catching up on or doing. She blamed me for not setting boundaries or being more strict with her, and eventually, she became comfortable with her freedom with him. Adam still has really strong feelings for her, though she said she didn't feel the same way about him. She admitted that Adam over time grew to resent me and became very jealous of our relationship and how effortlessly happy I made her feel. She told me she never cheated on me despite Adam's advances and flirtation. At this point, she was crying and emotional and extremely desperate. She begged for forgiveness and said that she'd cut all ties with Adam, that she wouldn't ever talk to him again or hang out with him anymore, that I was the only person she wanted to spend her life with, and a bunch of other ridiculousness I could hardly even listen to. I was angry and probably didn't say it the way I should have, but I told her it was the perpetual lying and deceitfulness that had me so angry, and that was the reason I was breaking up with her. That's pretty much how it ended, with me telling her she could leave. Adam sent some hateful texts to me, which I ignored. Last night I was pretty much an emotional wreck. I felt ashamed and angry at myself for even crying over something so stupid. But I woke up this morning, and I didn't feel nearly as bad as I thought. I spoke to my best friend about it, and he really helped me put it into perspective. I'm going home tonight for my birthday weekend, and then I'll just focus on finishing school and finding a job. I'm glad it's over and even more glad I don't live in this state. Thanks for the advice. She blamed you for not setting boundaries for her behavior with him when she was the only one to know of his one-sided feelings, jealousy, and resentment? Wow. Best of luck with graduation and happy birthday. Thanks. I think the one moment looking back on this that got me the most riled up was last year. I went back home for winter break and went out to the movies with my best friend, his girlfriend, and his girlfriend's best friend who was my ex from high school. I told her about it ahead of time, told her exactly what we'd be doing, that the 4 of us were going to see a movie and get some dinner. And she completely blew it out of proportion and made me feel so guilty about going to see a movie with some friends. I don't think I've ever shown that kind of anger in my life. So this guy was making sexually inappropriate advances towards her, and her reaction wasn't to defend you and get pissed at him for disrespecting your relationship, or even just bring it to your attention, so you guys could decide together how to handle it? She knew very well what she was doing, putting the emotions of someone with no respect for you above your own. Her loyalty was never to you. I'm sorry. Some would disagree, but as someone who has cut off a lifelong friend for refusing to act appropriately and respect my boyfriend's place in my life, I consider that emotional cheating. You deserve someone who will defend you in your absence without a second thought. If they can't do that, then you aren't being cherished the way you should be. Yeah, I realized pretty quickly that she isn't as innocent as she makes herself out to seem. It's definitely a two-way street, and she should have distanced herself from the guy. While I do blame myself for not investigating or putting my foot down, I've always felt like either you trust your significant other 100% or you don't trust them at all. Getting into this relationship with her knowing her best friend was a guy, and how they acted with one another was enough to make me realize either I'm going to trust this girl 100% or I'm going to drive myself crazy with jealousy and torture. Maybe I was being too naive, but it's how I do things. Trust to me is everything, and this is the first time in a relationship I've ever had it taken advantage of. Last story. My cousin has convinced herself that my husband is in love with her. How do we deal with this? My husband, James, 33 male, and I, 29 female, got married a little over 2 months ago, and this has been going on since then. We had a pretty small wedding. I have a huge family, but invited less than half of them for personal reasons. One cousin, Mira, 29 female, I was unsure about inviting, but she was going through a hard time, and I thought inviting her would help her get out of her depressive funk. She is recently divorced after her husband of 2 years cheated on her and kicked her out of his home. At the wedding, everything was pretty normal and nothing crazy happened. A relevant detail here is that during the wedding reception, my husband and I did a little segment where we dedicated songs to each other, and they were played with an announcement stating that I dedicated one to him, then he dedicated one to me. The song he dedicated to me was Adore You by Harry Styles. We are both Harry Styles fans, and that is my husband's favorite song. Because of the lyric that says brown skin and lemon over ice, Mira thinks he was secretly dedicating it to her and not me. Her reasoning being that she has darker skin than I do, which is true, but it was not meant for her. And also, insane thought process. Ever since then, she has been telling people that she and my husband are seeing each other behind my back and bragging about dating him, which she is not doing. My husband had only met Mira once before the wedding, at Thanksgiving 4 years ago, and they didn't even speak to each other apart from saying hi. Mira has been posting poorly photoshopped pictures of herself and my husband and took photos from the wedding, cropped me out of them, and plastered them on social media bragging about being with my husband. We have both asked her to stop, and she blocked me and ignored him. My family members are split. The ones who weren't invited are saying, I deserve this, and this is my karma for not inviting them to my wedding. My cousins all think Mira is crazy, and my aunts and uncles who were invited say that I should just ignore her since I know she's lying. This is driving me and my husband insane, and yesterday, Friday, she showed up at my husband's job to bring him lunch and told everyone she was his girlfriend, which led to confusion since most of his co-workers know me, and 3 of them were at the wedding. I literally don't even know what to do at this point, because this is so stupid and insane that I'm dumbfounded. I would appreciate some advice. How the hell do I handle this? Your cousin doesn't sound mentally well, and you should probably look at getting a restraining order. I truly don't think she is. I knew she was depressed after her separation, but I hadn't spoken to her in a while, and didn't think she would do this. How do you not think she is unstable if she is creating a delusion, an untrue reality, and telling others about it? You call it a lie, but does she know it's a lie? Of course she should know, but does she actually see it as a lie? Depression doesn't equate to delusion or lying. If she is creating a false reality and belief despite clear evidence to the contrary, that is the definition of delusion, and that is often associated with a severe mental illness. If you truly think she is lying and aware of reality, then this is closer to sociopathic or antisocial behavior, which could be equally dangerous. Restraining order either way. Would they grant us one if she hasn't threatened us or anything? Get an injunction against harassment. It's the type of restraining order that applies here. Google IAH, insert state name, and you'll find the online form, called a petition, on your states.gov website to fill out, and bring to your local city court to get it granted. You and your husband both need to be listed as protected parties on the petition. This is all free, you don't need a lawyer, and it can be done the same day, Monday to Friday. You can and should also sue her for libel. All those screenshots you have and anything in writing she has shared about it is evidence. Document everything, just in case she goes totally batshit crazy on you. We have been. Since she did not block my husband or my other cousins, they've all been screenshotting all her posts. They also told security at my husband's job not to let her in anymore. Talk to an attorney about a possible cease and desist. If her behavior continues, especially showing up at his job, it could cross into harassment pretty quickly and would give him an actual legal leg to stand on. Lawyers and law enforcement involvement will also give him some cover with his job if she keeps this kind of behavior up. Depending on where you live and what the company is, a stalker causing problems at someone's workplace could be grounds for firing. Make sure your house has cameras and get him a pen cam or something similar in case she tries to engage with him when he is alone. Don't let those situations become he said, she said. Also, the ones who weren't invited are saying, I deserve this, and this is my karma for not inviting them to my wedding. What? I'll look for an attorney and mention this to my husband. We do have cameras in our house, and she hasn't tried to show up there or directly communicate with us, only when she recently showed up at my husband's job. Edit. Thank you all. I got a lot of advice very quickly, so I'm going to speak to my husband about all of your ideas. Thanks again.